Roll on, Big Mama. Roll on, Big Mama. I like the way you
Public in a
sing.
really unrighteous way. But especially the truckers. Oh, this place was every trucker's nightmare. Nobody wanted to haul in there, but they had tremendous volume. So occasionally you'd get stuck with the load and couldn't say no because that was the only thing around. Whatever, one reason or another, you'd get in there. Well, one time I get in there and they pull their typical stuff. What they're trying to fish for is like about $150, $200 bribe to unload your truck, and it's a load that don't pay maybe a couple of grand, and minus your expenses, you're making about 200 profit on it, and that's it, you see. So they want that for their bribe, So in other words, you just transported their goods for free, and that's not a very fair way to be, but it's typical in the trucking industry, especially these days, gotten even worse. This is back in the 70s I'm talking about now, but that's why this company is no longer in business. The truckers just got to where they wouldn't take it anymore. Well, I think I was some kind of little, spark that maybe lighted that fuse too. Because, I got in there this day and they wanted to refuse the load, make me wait 2 or 3 days to unload it, or some monkey stuff like that. That's what they're fishing for. Give us $200 and you get it unloaded. I'm looking at it and I'm saying, no way, not today. I just told the gentleman in polite, I held my voice back a little bit. I says, listen, dude. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go out there in your parking lot right there in front of all them trucks. I'm going to unload that stuff. I've got the doors, the seal's already off. Your guard took it off. So I'm going to just toss it off the truck right there unless you get me a dock door right away. I'll give you so much minutes, I forget what it was. I was really being cocky that day, but a little dog got to have a big bark, And sometimes it works. And in this instance, it did. The guy saw this gleam of delightful madness in my eyes and knew damn good and well I meant it, that I would. And of course, that would all fall back on me. I'd get, fired and terminated from existence and all of that, of course. But there's a risk I was willing to take, because I just wasn't going to take that anymore. I was just to that point where it really didn't matter. If that got me off the road, well, there's a good excuse. I'd probably been on the road for a few years by then. I was ready for a break, in the action. So I really didn't care, I'm gifted enough and lucky enough that I can usually manage to make a living out of something. Trucking's always been my fallback. When everything else gets too difficult, then trucking is where you go. Because back in the day, you could make some money at it, but not off of these guys. This is a nasty little grocery warehouse. But that's what they got. They got their comeuppance, after a while, about a few years after that. I don't remember just when, but I can tell you the background story behind that, too. This is a sleazy side of trucking not everybody gets to know about, but you see what happened? Because I got friends in low places all over the place. So I got the story, the scuttlebutt. What happened? Here was old Sam Walmart himself, and he wanted to get into the grocery business. So his friend that had the sleazy warehouses that I'm talking about helped him get in. And next thing you know, Sam Walton's got it all to himself. And the other guy is like hurting because this Walmart took all his business, or Walmart as I say. Now this is just idle gossip in the background, see, so a story, man, a mystical story, a tale that's far more expansive than what it seems, because it says something about the caricature of humanity and the life we're living, okay? And it's a trucker tale too, So I don't have to exaggerate. Ever. So old Sam basically put his friend out of business, And I know why, too, because Sam, was kind of a good guy in his own way, even though the corporation exists now is a mere suggestion of what Sam tried to begin there, It got taken over by a certain, well, let's just say some other interests, It's kind of the way of business. It gets too big, and there's just one way you're going to play, and that's it, It's the way of the day, and the dollar, too, But interesting to see what happened there, And then all of a sudden, super Walmarts were sprouting up all over the country, and the grocery business in general took a real hit. You know, there's a few of the independent warehouses left, but not many, you know. And trucking got real restrictive because then you only got 2 or 3 receivers for all the shippers. And then, you know, they get to where they can dictate rates. You know, truckers haven't learned yet to gather together and form some kind of association and demand rates and don't haul it until they pay it. You know, I mean, really, I mean, it's a little bit, I can't believe how cutthroat and bloodthirsty it's gotten out there now. People will haul a load just to pay for the fuel to get somewhere else, and the brokers and so forth know that. So everybody takes advantage. The poor little independent trucker, you know, a lot of them are tough guys. You know, they've been in it for a long time and they can gut it out, but they're not worthy of it anymore. They don't think it's worthy of them. See, because of situations like that, and it's just gotten to the point where there's so many newbies in the business, they don't understand the economics involved, let alone the background of the sleazy old corporations gobbling each other up in the most obscene sort of ways, etc. We just haul the freight, you know, we just get it from one part of the country to the other, make sure it gets delivered in good condition. That's what we do. But we accumulate a lot of wisdom along that highway of life, let me tell you. And you'll live a lot of those stories, and you'll learn to deal with life in a far more creative way than you ever would have otherwise, you know, because you're always dealing with some kind of difficult situation or another. Doesn't seem to be there's too many days where you just shoo down the highway and everything's okay. There's always, you know, some kind of intense pressure about the load. It's precious commodities or its value is highly overrated, and you got to worry about hijack. Well, you don't have to worry about nothing. You just got to be conscious. If you got like a load of liquor on, you know, well, baby, you're subject to hijack, you know, and because that's a few $1,000,000 back there in that little 53-foot box, man, you know, and. So you just got to be intelligent about it, and you don't make long stops anywhere where such a possibility should exist. Most truck stops, you know, are fairly decent about it, but, you know, around certain cities, there are certain truck stops. You just don't even want to pull a load like that in there. You go right by as fast as you can, given traffic conditions. I mean, safe and reasonable, but you don't make any stops in places like that. In fact, if you do any sleeping at all on that run, it's maybe 15 minutes on an off-ramp or an on-ramp, you know, something like that, just so you can get up and get going, you know. It's just to get the sleepers out of your eyes and get your strength back, man. You know, 15 minutes will do it, too. It's a skill you acquire because, you know, you're pretty much required to be driving or with that truck 24/7. When the driving part's going on, 1,000 miles a day is not uncommon, man. It's a pretty routine average that you're expected to make because you're such a super trucker and all that, right? I don't know how the hell we ever do that, man. Somehow we live to tell about it. Here I am many years later, and I don't look like a lot of my compadres did, man, with their bent-up old backs and busted-up guts and everything. I mean, I got my issues, too, but I'm doing pretty good considering I did 3. And it just blows me away that I did 3 million miles. It don't seem like, but maybe 1 million or 2, you know. But I sit here and add it up. That's where it comes, you know. And I'm like, wow, how did that happen, you know? Because I did a lot of other off-duty shit, man, lots. You know, little excursions and all kinds of different little businesses and stuff. I got led around by the nose a lot by the universe, but I got a seasoned education such as any PhD would gladly pay great money for, man, because I tell you what, it's far wiser than what you get from the shallow old universities. I'm sorry, babies, but there's not much life behind the intellectualism. There is here and there, and we love them for it, but babies, you know, this kind of education, you just can't get anywhere else other than Mother Earth and living a life like that. You see, it's far broader. It increases your wisdom a gazillion-fold. You start out as an innocent child, and as it loops around and you start to complete the cycle of what we see as a usual, normal life, you find the innocence of that child still alive inside, and it gives you a whole new vision of what you've been through in this life to get to where you are now. And it just clarifies it, man. Clarifies it. Just like we cleared the skies right now. You know, the only haze up there now is Mary J., okay? but it clarifies it. And you start to see the flow of it and how, wow, the elements like I'm talking about. How else would you ever acquire such an education in behavioral sciences, in economics, in what they call that, social consciousness, whatever that is, etc., man, and human behavior too, man. Carl Jung and I would have some really interesting discussions should we ever get together over there on the other side of the Rainbow Bridge. Let me tell you, wow, his general leanings of mine are the same, man. The experience points in those directions, But in a way, that kind of agrees with Buddha. You have to understand, as things are passed through the ages and generations, they get changed a bit. But it's the same basic thing, and it's the life of experience. The reason why we created souls born under wandering stars that could never settle for any place or any person for a real long time. It just had to be on the way always. When civilization started catching up to you, you had to move ahead. Now we're speaking in mystical terms as well as sometimes in physical terms. And sometimes they were simultaneous. But these beings become the mystical pioneers, the openers for that so-called civilization that's been coming behind them. But these days no more. The civilization that follows us truthfully becomes civil, because we found the way to be civil inside of ourselves. We reached that point of peaceful progression where we could look back and see all of it clearly and see the flow of it and appreciate it dearly. Then you sit here in the driver's seat of the spaceship, look, and you feel like a gazillion bucks or something. You know what I mean? You got this peaceful, radiant glow about you, and people notice it, and it's shared widely, just because in these moments of time we call the Coyote Medicine Show, you're able to let your heart glow and really give it a go, see, and unite with all of you. That's the oracle, and it's in each one of us. It ain't just me, it's all of us. Each is the oracle of their own heart, and the oracle of the heart gathered. What that means is understanding clearly the nature of our union in that heart. To see that heart at the center of the Mother Love, the Mother Earth, the universe, which is to see it at the center of ourselves as a simultaneous presence. A universe inside of a universe, expressed in a personal form, and aggravating itself into being by going through some topsy-turvy lives, and getting spun around and kicked up and thrown down and just all kinds of stuff, man. But living an amazing and incredible experience that will never again have to be repeated, thank goodness, but which is so seasoning of your heart and soul, so pointing in what I would call the right direction, which is, right as the light, you understand? Not right wing. Not right as in, I know, but right in, this is the flow. You see the flow of it? You know right now where it's going too, because you see where it's been now. So you see where it leads. And it is a time of fulfillment, a time of great completion, a time outside of time. Yet we still have time even outside of time. See, music doesn't happen without rhythm, the tribal beat, the bass tone, rhythm, resonance, and that has to have a little timing now, doesn't it, to make it happen. Well, we're moving to new levels and new forms of paradisical expressions of musical love, of course. You wouldn't believe what the angelic voices are capable of, and man, haven't heard them before and spoken with them. They tell us that human beings are far more incredible than that as we establish our heart presence back in our voice. It's called the Song of the Heart, and it's sung multidimensionally by all beings and presences that live, and it becomes the resonation by which life lives forever. That Song of the Heart. How's that for a good start? A good beginning on a free day Friday. See, we're free already. We're free all the time. It's just a matter of allowing it to be. Just let it happen. See, feel it, be it, flow with it, glow with it, and there you are. And you'll find yourself being happy, totally and completely, for the first time in forever. Since you can remember anyway, right? And then you see that happiness spread backwards and forwards from this moment, in time, which is outside of time. And you see your happy presence in it all along. Yeah, it's always coyote medicine, honey. It always is coyote medicine. And what a great way to learn a lesson and get a grand education in the ways of the heartfelt nature of creation. Dreams you could never let go of, that come now to times of great fulfillment, propelled into motion by the mother love that's lit in the fire of our heart, and the transformative flame that consumes it all, and brings forward the phoenix earth, and the bird children, of her, the thunder beings, baby, let's call it that for a while, just for fun. The thunder beings of love, which are really just little love bunnies with a large presence that just radiates an exuberant love into everything. Pretty cool, huh? I'd say. I kind of like it, don't you?
Roll on, Big Mama. I like the way you sing.
We know how it is on the tough side of life. We've all been there, done that. You know, look at me. I have to dress in leathers, man, to cover up my leathery skin, you know. Shoot. Oh, it's a hippie thing, and it's a return to the caveman, the gritty side of life, but it's also sin in a satiric sort of way. We ain't doing it that way anymore, and inside the leather is a soft, sweet hide that always is in it for the heart's sweet ride. Yes, indeed. That's our truth. No matter who we be, even this person called Hillary, I mean, goodness gracious. Hate to give her so much attention, but we're trying to help her reformate her ways, you know, and stop, killing folks off casually like that, and, only kill them for a reason, man. Okay, a little dark satire underway, I admit it, baby. But oh, gee whiz, when you look at this world around you whirling around, you gotta be like, wow, it's a comedy, I often feel like I'm sitting at the center of the eye of the storm, man, but I got a view of it all. And man, it's whipping around us 300 mile an hour. It's got everything pulverized. But you see all kinds of shapes and shadows and flying cows and wicked witches in that hurricane around you. But you notice that as you, allow the sunlight to refresh you, it just comes right down through your old crown chakra, man. This energy, this calmness is spreading out into the storm. And little by little, the pieces are falling into place, And they look a hell of a lot different than they did before the storm came along. In fact, I would say they're totally transformed in this moment of time. And just for example, that horse over there, that's such a friend of ours, been around all this time, And, who ever thought the pale horse of love would be such an elegant paint pony with brown spots and, distinguished markings everywhere. And glowing like the glittering rainbow all around itself. And look at those translucent, silvery rainbow, goldy bluey wings. Oh my goodness. How about that? How would you like to take a ride on those things, man? Now that's a horse you can ride, see, baby. The old horse grins at you and says, yeah, I know what to do, because guess what? We've been there, done that already, I fooled you, didn't I? You thought you was going steady with a truck or with some other kind of career, maybe an airplane, man. I got a lot of friends, a number of friends, let's say, that used to be airline pilots, now retired, but wow. That's in some ways even worse than trucking, because the temptations are far greater out there, and then life will wear you down fast, man. For example, most all of my friends that are airline pilots, from back in the day when it was really partying in the 70s, man, in the 60s, and the airline industry was wild as wild cat could be. Well, all of them have been through some kind of alcohol and drug rehabilitation. All of them been put on leave just for such seasonings. You know, go get yourself sobered up and come back, fly this plane right, will you? Etc. You know. But the real truth is, just as drunk and sober, because the instincts get so natural, and your trucking's the same way. Though I sure wouldn't want to do it drunk, because that's a lot of hunk of steel and freight flying down the highway. I want to be on, you know, where I got my performance top notch, you know. So if anything happens, I can get out of the way, you know. These guys are a little more confident in their abilities because they got automatic pilot anyway. All they got to do is sleep and make sure the plane don't hit a bump and fall out of the sky, you know. Feel sorry for that one Japanese pilot back in the 83 or so. Maybe it was 85. I don't remember. Somewhere back in those crazy 80s. He's flying along in his 747, dozing at the wheel, got the autopilot on, somewhere out there by Hawaii, going from San Francisco to Japan, you know. I don't know why he's going the long way like that, but anyway, maybe they had a landing out there somewhere. Anyway, you know, 32,000 feet, everything's cool, got his feet on the dashboard. I mean, relatively, you know. And all of a sudden, this plane just stalls. Now, stall is when the wing loses its lift. It's what you do when you land, you see. So it's not a bad thing. And, you know, it's completely recoverable in the air there. I mean, you know, it shouldn't be more than a little bump, really, on those big old jets. They got so much lift in the wings, you know. Not this one. This one, like, dives 30,000 of that 32,000 feet. Who knows what velocity it was at time he got down there a couple thousand feet above the ocean. Bet it only took a few seconds because, man, that thing loses its lift. It's a 747. It's 800,000 plus pounds in the air. It's going to fall like a rocket faster, you know. It's got some momentum behind it. Okay, Isaac Newton says everything falls the same except for a feather. Yeah, right. Well, there's no word. This feather lost its wings quickly, man. But, you know, that old pilot, I know he turned white in the process. Pale white. And bloodshot eyes forever, poor guy. But he managed to pull it off a couple thousand feet above the ocean. Get her back to flying straight and level and back into a climb again. Get back up to altitude. But, oh, my goodness, that poor man. And all the passengers on that plane. I mean, I don't think there's more out-of-control feeling than being inside of a passenger plane and knowing you can't pull on the wheel with the pilot, though everybody's doing it in their heart anyway, and that's why he recovered. So instead of a disaster, there was just a close call. That's the difference between being on the ball and not. And that's why you shouldn't drink and fly, okay? I don't care how skilled you are. I mean, I used to be proud of my drunk driving. You know, I never did this behind the wheel of an 18-wheeler, never. Hung over a few times, yeah. That'd get you back in the day, for sure. But you just got it underway. You were okay. You had your skills up. You know, lots of coffee keeps you rocking, man. But anywho, long story short, I used to be proud of my drunk driving skills. You know, I'd never ever been busted for it ever, you know, until sometime in the 90s. We'll talk about that some, but I never, anyway, they always drop charges. It's okay. But so I did a lot of it in my time. You know, I thought I was, you know, immune to all these natural forces, you know. A few close calls later, I start to realize that maybe I'm working my angels a little bit overtime again. I have a tendency to do that, you see. And so really I thought I was better driving drunk than I was sober because I'd be more careful than I was sober. Sober, I was a little bit of an anxious driver. All those miles and all that traffic, you know. You get a little edgy, man, you know, and you have to take time off so you can lose the edge. Otherwise you get as bad as everybody else out there. But that, you know, when I started to see really the reality, that I was just fooling myself, you know, maybe I was just lucky and I had good angels. Yeah, and I did have some good driving skills, and they were inherent in me, so there was a safety in that. But wow, I was stretching it. And I just had to let it go, you know, and just quit doing it. I mean, you know, it was easy. I mean, it was just, don't get behind the wheel when you're drinking, partying, man, easy. You know, man. And usually there's somebody there going to take you around, you know, if you need to move around a little bit, one party to another. I used to love it when I'm driving taxi. I did that a few times in my life, too, for a few years. But, I'd love the early morning hours, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I'm picking up all the party goers as they're winding down or going home to complete the night or whatever. And, of course, you're always in the middle of it. They love the Coyote. They got to drag you in there, and you got to say no to all the alcohol and stuff, but you just, you rock down with the people for a few minutes and get paid to do it, and then take the old happily drunk persons on home, wherever that might be, and, etc. I just love that partying mode, even though I couldn't go and participate directly any more than that. It was just awesome times, man, awesome times. I just enjoy the dickens. Still, to this day, I've felt the magic and the charm of the early morning hours. That's part of the reason why I'm on the radio here with you so early in the day, bright and early, wouldn't you say? Hell, I could start at midnight, but I'd overwork myself again, and I ain't going to do that no more. Yeah, you learn after a while, just stay even with the score and just keep it even with you, and everything works out. In fact, if you just start to learn to lean back and settle back and just relax, you'll let the edge go altogether, and you're in a far finer flow than you could ever be. And you don't have to be drunk to do it, or high even, because you're already high. See, Mary J's with you all the way. And she's there, if you've experienced her once, you got her magic. And she'll be with you forever, because she's your mother. I mean, it's a symbolic thing, but it's a real thing, too. And she will always be there for you in support, and always shining a light in the direction you ought to go. The simplest path, don't you know? That's what Mother would have for you. So that's what you're going to have for yourself on this Free Day Friday. The simplest way. You let go of all the rest of it, wouldn't you say, and just take the way of the heart. See how Mama's shining a light there? Follow that flow, follow that feeling. Be that light. Hey, I'm speaking to myself, babies. Some incredible and tremendous openings have occurred in the reality in recent time, and are occurring right now, continuing. You see, and babies, it can't help but manifest in the reality around you. I mean, that's just the way it works. As we allow this symbolic mother to embrace us from the inside out. Well, darlings, that's what expansion is all about. That's where growth begins. See, that's like the first time we ever made love in the light, and got it just right. Just like in the movies, only better, because there was no violence involved. It's just a soft, sweet flow that goes on forever and just keeps growing, don't you know? That's the kind of love we share here on the Coyote Medicine Show, day in and day out, but especially on a Free Day Friday, baby. And now you got the flow, and now you're starting to know what the weekend's going to be like. Because you're creating it right now. Glow, glow, glow. Let it expand, don't you know? Mama's here, and she won't abandon you. Because she knows, just like I read earlier in the day, her children have never let her down. Not once. She knew this reunion would come. That her children would get through the darkness and be just right. And just like my trucking days, etc., this grand life I've lived, these grand generations have lived much the same. And we've learned and grown. We've gotten an education that can't be bought anywhere for any price. It can only be gained by living it. Of course, now that we've created this experience, it's on many, many reels there in the vaults of love, man. And anybody wants to go there and experience it, just pop that old movie out and put it in the player, baby. And there you are. Back there dancing around with the crazy folks again, the cave people. But it's time for our existence to move on, to go ahead and take that next step. We've been, waiting around for everybody to catch up forever, not realizing that if we just let ourselves be this gateway, this vehicle of love that's completely joined and united inside and doesn't feel itself in any way fractured from any part of itself, feels the unity of a person. And that feeling expands. And that unity is in the greater person of the universe, let alone the Mother Earth, which is, of course, the elegant center heart of such. No matter how it's portrayed in this reality, and no matter what the scientists say, Mother Earth's heart is at the center of the universe today, and you there with her. It's a gathering that sets us free to be as free as we can be in our expression, to live a life that really is peaceful and quite pleasurable too. Anxiety just melts away before us. Conflict is over with. Because we're in the flow, we got that mama glow. And we enjoy it. And we can be it. And we can rest in the natural urge to be creation and to feel every bit of it. And that's where mama finds her empowerment in her children. And realizes the truth once again. We've never let her down. Not once. Not ever. Nor will we ever. Nor would she ever fail us, this grandmother of love that creates all. In the Father's heart, the shining sun, the direct one, which is softened by the mother's glow into the organic, don't you know? The place where it all begins, Mother Earth and then some. Now we start to see our place in it. Now we start to take that magic ride on the pale horse of love for real. 'Cause that's the deal we're involved in today on a Free Day Friday. Wouldn't you say? Ooh, giving again in that coyote way. Oh, always. Life is so coyote. So are you, baby. But I love you for it. So says Grandpa, expressing his heart. The one heart of love in us all. The universal heart, of which he's just a small voice speaking, sharing the radiant love of the wisdom of the ancient heart in all. The mother love, seasoned by the Father's light. See, 'cause they're both lights, it's one thing. Just two different forms of expression and quite poetic in their dance together. Things are changing, baby. Be ready for anything. And bless your sweet Bippy for doing it, too.
Roll on, Big Mama. I like the way you sing.